All right. Welcome to E.M.O. Eric Mitchell Opinions, episode 6. Again, like last time, not going to check because I'm not going to waste time. Because I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a long one. I was very inspired by Professor Sky with making these, so I'm going to try my best to have no edits. But it's going to be very personal, so no promises. So today I wanted to talk about the Tyler the Creator situation. Everything with people, the recent controversy that's been going on. From a kind of unique perspective as someone who grew up in a way that was very similar in certain aspects to the way Tyler the Creator grew up. So to catch everyone up to speed, who, if this is your first time hearing about this, what you're about to experience is something kind of crazy. So basically, what happened was, first off the top, let's say RIP to D'Angelo. He passed away very recently, and Tyler made a tribute post on Instagram and Twitter, which was the catalyst for this whole situation. So what happened was, after D'Angelo passed, Tyler made a tribute post on Twitter, made a tribute post on Instagram. D'Angelo was a legendary soul musician. He was categorized as neo soul, even though he rejected that label. But a lot of people would categorize him as neo soul in the same genres like Erykah Badu or Jill Scott, that kind of thing. Very just great singing, amazing, very personal songwriting, very organic feeling music, not a lot of synths, a lot of really bass heavy things. I believe he worked with Jay Dilla quite a bit too. So, he was a pioneer. He was someone who I've definitely heard a couple singles from and things like that, but never. No, that's not true. Actually, I did listen to a full album from him pretty recently. I think last year. Just revolutionary artist. And so very he's in what I like to call the black, how would I describe it? It's kind of like he's a black cult classic. So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of artists, there's a lot of pieces of art that are big in the black community but haven't broken into the mainstream of white America. So things like example would be a lot of Wayne's Brothers movies, don't be a menace while sipping tea in the hood, that kind of thing. There's a lot of things that fall into the black cult classic realm, and I believe D'Angelo is one of them, where he's kind of just right at the pinnacle of how big you could be while having a predominantly black audience. That's basically what I mean. And so Tyler had made a post in regards to his passing, talking about how much D'Angelo inspired him, talking about how much he looked up to him. And there was a lot of people, particularly on Twitter, but I believe it happened on Instagram too, where there was just a lot of his white fans who didn't know who D'Angelo was, who was they were on the better side. There were people just saying that they don't know who that is. But then on the worst side, there are people who were the edgy kids, the edgy white kids, who were basically saying I don't know who that is, I don't care, make a new album, this is Unca music, blah blah blah, stuff like that. And so he ended up turning off the comments on those posts. And after that, what really started kind of the situation that we're in now, I'm not calling it a canceling, and I'm going to get to why I don't call it a canceling, because I think that people who are looking at it like it's canceling don't understand what accountability is. They think that any kind of criticism is you trying to get someone out of here, which is not what's happening. So what really started this whole situation was someone on Twitter made a post calling out Tyler's white fan base, saying that they don't respect black music, they only respect Tyler, and anything outside of Tyler that's black music, they have no actual like genuine love or respect for. They talked about how he worked with like Erykah Badu, worked with DJ Drama, worked with a lot of different black artists, and basically the most they're willing to touch that is through Tyler the Creator. And so the what really started this whole thing off was when when people saw that Tyler had liked that tweet. And so what was being raised by a lot of his black fans were like, we were on his side, obviously. Like, we agreed his white fans were being crazy. The problem is, if you've known Tyler for long enough, you know that this isn't like a coincidence. This isn't just something that randomly happened. This is the fan base he cultivated. These are the people that he attracted with some of his early work, not just work, but like the way he approached things for the longest time up until about 2017 with Flower Boy. And so it's almost like, all right, like we're with you, but like we're not gonna, like, let's not act like this isn't, like, you had no part in this. Like, let's not just throw it on these white kids and act like, oh, how could this have happened? We have no idea how this could happen. Like, no, bro. Like, you were saying some crazy shit back in the day about black people, about women, about black women especially. Like, you were saying some wild shit. And so we can't just, like, sweep that shit under the rug and just pretend that didn't happen and blame it exclusively on the fans like they created themselves. You know what I mean? And so that conversation has been going on, you know, and I've seen, as someone who unfortunately goes on Reddit quite a bit, I've seen like the two sides of the fan base kind of splitting. A lot of people, I remember this one post, there was like a black creator, basically on the Tyler subreddit, basically talking about the situation, talking about how, yes, Tyler did have a big part in cultivating the fans that are acting this way now, and the post got shut down because a bunch of white fans are being like incredibly racist in the comments. So it's just like it's kind of like the division of his white fans, his black fans. And it's obviously like some black fans are very dismissive of it. There'll be some white fans who are very understanding of the perspective of a lot of the black fans. So like it's not obviously like strictly just like black, white, whatever. But it's kind of heavily that way. And a lot of the people on YouTube who are talking about it aren't demanding that Tyler, like, they aren't like trying to cancel Tyler. They're just saying like, you should acknowledge what you've done in the past, what you said in the past, some of the tweets and stuff that he's had, some of the lyrics that he's had. I'm personally of the opinion that I'm less worried about the lyrics, and that could be a very like male perspective, because like, I'll be real with you, I'm all woke and feminist and shit. I still like the song Tron Cat. I think it's cringe as fuck, but I still like it. I still like songs like She. I still like Tamale. I think that they're so over the top and ridiculous that the way I've always looked at them is like, this is at worst an exaggeration of what he feels, and at best him just saying shit just to get attention. Because if there's one thing Tyler loves, it is attention. So, where do I fit in this? And why is this video going to be personal? Me and Tyler are very close in age. Very close in age. I have known about Tyler since Goblin. I got into him because Kanye West, back in the day, had posted Yonkers onto his Facebook account, and I was on Facebook because, again, boomer. But like, I had and that's when I first got into him. So I've been like up on Tyler since Yonkers, and I would say that like I was a passive fan from like Goblin up until Flower Boy, and then after Flower Boy, that's when I became like a very active, like, he went from like an artist I liked to my second favorite artist after Kendrick Lamar. So I still was able to like put up with some of the more cringe, edgy shit, but it wasn't. It was too much for me to actually like put it in rotation. Like, I'll be so honest with you. Bastard, I've heard all the way through. I actually really like Bastard, just because like at that point he was like 18, so it feels like actually just a kid being like loud and angry. But Goblin Wolf, I have never heard all the way through. Goblin Wolf, I've never heard all the way through. I listened to Cherry Bomb all the way through, but that's after getting into Flower Boy, because like that album was so maligned that I just wanted to hear if what everyone was saying about it was true. I actually don't think it's that bad. I think like there's some songs I usually skip, but like overall I like it. Like, it's not my favorite. It's definitely like out of all the albums I've listened to all the way, it's, yeah, out of all the albums listened to all the way, it's definitely my least favorite. But I don't think it's bad. It's probably like a 6 out of 10 kind of thing. But yeah, no. So for me, I was I understand Tyler, or I feel like I understand Tyler to a certain point, and I'm not gonna speculate on his personal life, but I feel as if I can maybe understand the mindset of certain things that was going on. You know, Tyler seems like he was always like a very eccentric person, a very hyperactive person, a very outspoken person, and a very like weird person. And being weird growing up in the black community, it puts a target on you in a certain way. And not maybe for violence, like in certain areas, like he's grew up in a much rougher area than I did, but definitely for like ridicule, mocking someone like me who's like on the spectrum, where like I have ADHD, I have really bad rejection sensitivity dysphoria. Like the roasting thing, like the making fun of you as a kid, I didn't realize how that's part of the culture. To me, it was just like, oh, these people just don't like me. These people being my family and like some of the other black people I grew up around, you know? And, you know, I talk the way I talk. I've been called an Oreo before. That people said that like I talk white. People said that I act white. And so I can relate to how I feel Tyler must have felt growing up, where you know you feel as if you try to fit in with your peers, try to fit in with people who look like you, and it's almost like you feel as if you're being pushed away and you don't know why. You know, like I grew up really liking emo music. Really, like I'm still a big emo head. Like the two vinyl I have over here is obviously Igor, and the one right next to it is this album, the self-titled album, Really From, by the band Really From. They're really called People Like You, but you know they legally had to change their name to Really From. And it's like this one's less emo. This album's less emo. They first started off as kind of like an emo jazz math rock kind of band, and then with this one it's much more like jazz, like just front, like full on jazz and rock and like a little bit of math rock in it. But like that's the kind of shit I was listening to as a teenager, like emo, a little bit of math rock kind of shit. And so like I felt very like I felt very like outside of the typical black experience, and I felt like a lot of people didn't understand me, you know. And I know what it's like to be searching for community at that age, and you know I found what I thought was community in a lot of white spaces. I was hanging, like I had a lot of white friends growing up. Like I went to Christian private school for a little bit. That shit sucked. But everyone right there was basically white. And so like it kind of felt like if I'm already getting, It's the classic fucking. It's the classic fucking line, like Earl Sweatshirt says: "Too what black for the white kids, too white for the blacks." You feel as if you're already being made fun of in the black community for being who you are, for liking white things. You're like, I liked emo. I liked all types of like weird alternative shit, anime, all that shit. And this is like back in the day before anime was like a black thing. And so, you know, you feel like unaligned with a lot of black people in the community. And so you kind of look for community elsewhere. And since your interests are already white, you enter these white spaces, and because especially when you're young, you're willing to just put up with so much because you feel like you at least have friends now. Like, I've been in that situation where it's like your friends are making insane jokes about black people. They're saying the N-word, they're saying hard R, they're saying like crazy shit. I've been in Skypes and like group chats with people just like making the most insane jokes ever. And like, I don't know how much of their jokes, because some of them turn out to be cops. So I don't know how much of it was a joke. But I've been in those situations where, you know, you kind of grin and bear it, and you even add to it because you want to fit in. You become like the edgy shit because you want to prove like this doesn't affect me. You know, I want to fit in. I don't want to be a bitch. I don't like, I want to still like, I still want to like show that I can hang with you guys and that I can roll with the punches and shit like that, you know? And it's interesting how it's like, you know, back in the day, I wasn't willing to be in community with black people because felt like I was being made fun of, but I was willing to be in community with white people even though I was being made fun of. And it's almost like, you know, interesting. The pull of white supremacy. And I've said crazy shit before too. I will say, nothing I've said, like a lot of like the old tweets that Tyler's been posting have come through. I don't think anything I've said has been like that crazy, but at the same time, I don't remember all of it. If that shit got posted up today, I'd probably look fucking insane. You know? I don't stand by any of that shit. I fucking don't. But I get it. I get the appeal of trying to be in those group chats and out edgy each other, you know, and trying to like show to your white friends like, oh yeah, I could take it. I could take whatever you dish at me. I could do it. I could say it like 10 times worse, you know, because I already like emo. I already like fucking 70s jazz or whatever. Like, I like all that shit. So like, people are gonna call me white anyway, so I might as well just like hang out with these guys and build community here, even though it's not a fucking community, even though these people like genuinely don't have any respect for me or black people or like. And I think like for a long time I didn't realize, I mean, like, very clearly, I didn't realize that there were like a bunch of black people who like not only felt like me, where we were weird, eccentric, you know, on the spectrum, and you know, just like, not only were there a lot of people who like were off to the margins who were like me, you know, like there's like a lot of mainstream black artists who are weird as fuck. You know, like Erica, like I was just watching some Erykah Badu videos yesterday. Erykah Badu is weird as fuck, and she's never not called black. She's black as fuck. And the thing is, like, you bring, and I think that's the thing like me and Tyler both learned like later in life. You could be weird as fuck as long as you're bringing like your blackness with you. You know what I mean? And it's like, I felt like I almost had to reject certain parts of it. And I also, like, I straight up just didn't appreciate certain parts of it, you know? Parts of the culture. I didn't appreciate a lot of R&B. I didn't appreciate a lot of funk. I didn't appreciate a lot of soul music. You know, I think what ended up bringing me into a lot of, like, black music more, funnily enough, was hip-hop. You know, obviously hip-hop is black music. But, like, more like, some more, like, foundational, like, historic black music, stuff that's been around like longer, So like listening to a lot of hip hop and then getting into like my like real hip hop phase in high school, I got into like Tribe Called Quest, I got into Dilla, and so like finding those samples gave me kind of a door into like old school like old school R&B, some jazz, neo soul, you know, through Jay Dilla, learning about like Erykah Badu, getting into neo soul, that kind of thing. And then you kind of see that like, oh, like there's always been black weirdos. There's always been like the odd black people, and like they weren't pushed away from the community because they still embraced their blackness while embracing being odd and being strange. And I feel as if that's the lesson Tyler learned later in his career. You know, like Flower Boy onwards, all those albums are like incredibly like black. There's a lot of like, you listen to Flower Boy, there's a lot of like neo soul guitars. There's Estelle features, and so you. But like if you go back again, like I never listened all the way through to Goblin and Wolf, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of those songs straight up like fucking Tron Cat again. I like Tron Cat. I know it's problematic. I know it's problem. I know the pregnant woman line. I know. Cancel me. It's fine. The pregnant woman line's fucked up. I know. I like the song. But Tron Cat, if a white person wrote that song, and if it was like an edgy, like Eminem ripoff who made that song, would it sound any different? Would it really sound any different if it was a white person that made that song? I don't think so. I think if like a white person made Don't Tap That Glass, like that album, you'd kind of be looking at him sideways or be like, oh, okay, he's cool. Or actually, you wouldn't look at him sideways. You'd look at him like he's Mac Miller, because Mac Miller, RIP to Mac Miller too. Like, that's how you'd look at him. That's how you'd look at that person. I don't think there's any point in Mac Miller's career that he would have made a Tron Cat, because he just seemed like a cool dude. So yeah, it's like as someone who's also kind of refound community amongst black people, and still weird, I openly talk about liking emo music. Like, I don't care. I openly talk about liking emo music. I openly talk about all the shit I'm into. I'm not into anime like that anymore, but I openly talk about the anime I used to like. That's just who, like, this shirt is, oh, there you go. It's like reverse, I'm not sure. This shirt is from that band, People Like You. Really from, you know? And so it's like, I openly embrace those things, but at the same time, it's like, I'm listening to jazz, I'm listening to funk. And like, if that's not your thing, that's not your thing. I think the problem is, like, fucking, was it Hootie and the Blowfish? The one with like the black lead singer in like a country song? If you're just a black dude who just, like, literally just so happens to be black, but like you just like country and you don't like rap and you don't like R&B, that's you, dude. That's fine. That's all good. But it's like, if you're trying to like build strong communities in the black community, there's plenty of shit. Like, R&B is just emo music, but the people can sing, bro. Like, literally, it is literally just like, R&B is just emo, but the people can sing. You know what I mean? And the bass lines are better. Like, it's really not that different, bro. It's whining with better singing, bro. And emo is just whining with bad singing. Like, it's the same thing. And so, like, this got a little rambly. I didn't take my ADHD meds today, and we're not editing it because I didn't say anything crazy. But what the point I'm trying to make is, I understand where Tyler's coming from. I understand feeling rejected by the community. Again, I am projecting on him. I have no idea. I'm not gonna fucking look up into his life. I don't like getting parasocial with artists. What I'm saying is, from the vibe I got, if I'm right, I can relate. If he grew up like me, feeling ostracized, and he lashed out, I can relate. I understand. If he was like me, and he was in group chats with white people who were saying crazy shit, but at least they like emo too, I can relate. I understand. And so it's like, I'm lucky in a way, even though back in the day I didn't realize I was, but I'm lucky that back in the day I didn't have all those eyes on me. I wasn't 19 years old, 18 years old with all those eyes on me. And I do get annoyed at everyone saying he was a kid when like 2011 he was 20. You know what I mean? Like he was saying shit during like when Mike Brown was killed, like 2014 shit, you know what I mean? And 2014 he would have been 23. He wasn't a kid. I can understand giving him some grace because when I personally feel that once you blow up, unless you really put effort into it, you are the age that you are that you blew up. And Tyler really blew up around Bastard, around Goblin, 2010, 2011, so like 1920 kind of thing. He says it all the time too. He's like, I was like 19 when I blew up. And I think like for a long time he got stuck in like Arrested Development. And so like being that 19-year-old kid who like didn't really see community with people that looked like him, I can understand like the whole like delayed puberty thing. He talks about that a lot too, where he felt like he didn't really become an adult until like 2015, 2016. And you can hear that in his music. And so I understand. I'm not saying it's a free pass. I am saying that I think that Tyler, I think just if he wants to move on from this, what he has to do is just like, even if it's a song, bro, like I feel like that would be a very Tyler way of handling it, of just like making a song explaining like, look, man, I felt rejected. Like the thing with Tyler is he can be really vulnerable in his music, but also there's still the veneer of like, I've never been insecure, I've never been anxious. And it's like, bro, like you don't act that way unless you're insecure. I'm sorry. I've seen it, bro. You don't act the way you don't put up with that kind of shit unless you're insecure. You don't do that shit unless you're screaming for attention. Sorry to tell you, bro. Screaming for attention is a sign of insecurity, bro. And it's fine. You have to be insecure. That's where the insecurity comes. Not that you have to be insecure, but like the insecurity leads to introspection, and that is what leads to personal growth. You have to feel like something is wrong to want to become a better person. And clearly you did, because you became a better person. I don't think that Tyler the Creator is a bad person. Again, he did some crazy shit. And there's some like, besides like the race shit, there's some shit that like seems to be coming out that like I don't have all the facts on. If that shit's true, then I guess I'm not taking the fucking video down, but I guess I'm fucking wrong about him being a good person. But like, again, I don't know. But I will say for now, I don't think he's a bad person. And I don't think that his reputation is destroyed. Obviously with me, it's like I can relate, because if I was famous back then when I was saying crazy shit and letting people say crazy shit to me, it would be over, bro. But it's understandable from the perspective of wanting to fit in a group because you felt like you were excluded in another group. But if you want to have a better fan base, bro, I'm saying, bro, like he's my friend. I don't know the man from Adam. We've been in the same room together once, and that was me seeing him in concert, and I was in the nosebleeds. He does not know who I am. But what I'm basically saying is, like, if you want the fan base to be better, you have to let them know where you came from and where you are now. it can't just be like, oh, I don't like Tron Cat like that. Like, it's not. It's more than that, bro. Like, I feel like it would be important to just let people know, like, listen, this is the shit I was on. This is why. If it was because you felt rejected, it's because you felt rejected. You know, like, it's important to just be honest with that kind of shit. You know? You know, like, for me, it was like a lot of the shit I did, a lot of shit I acted out on was just me feeling rejected from the black community, and like that shit pretty much got nipped in the bud immediately as soon as I made like some really close black friends who were also into like anime and Steven Universe and all that shit, you know? And I'll never forget. Oh my god. I will never forget like when my friends we were I think one of the final straws for me in like those old group chats was like, you know, it was always like, oh, it's just jokes, I don't mean it, it's just jokes, blah 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 blah. But I remember like I found this like African rock band. I cannot fucking remember though, bro. I don't know who it was. But and I wish I could find that song. But I remember I found this African rock band and I posted in the group chat and I was like, oh, I love this. Like, it's rock, but it's like, I remember saying like explicitly like it's so black too. And they started bursting out laughing. Like, it was the funniest shit in the world that I was happy to find a group and enjoy them because they're black. And it just like, I feel like after that point I was like, I need fucking black friends, bro. Like, I can't be in here anymore. I can't do this shit anymore, bro. I can't put up with this shit. Yeah, bro. So this is rambly. I hope this made sense. I'm not editing it, so pick out the message that you want. Tyler, if you're watching this, sign me, I guess. No, but for real. Sign me. Bye.